Okay, this is my tutorial on how to put a false bottom in my tank. I'm working with a 55-gallon today, and as you can see, we've gotten started. I'm working with the egg crate ceiling tiles. We've already cut it to the width of the tank, but the length was a little short. They come in a 45, and I have a 48-inch long tank, so I had to cut just a little bit extra, and I'm going to be attaching those on with some zip ties. I don't recommend using scissors because this stuff is brittle. It starts flying all over, and you're going to poke somebody's eye out if you don't have some side cutters. These make your life a lot easier. I also have not cleaned my tank yet. So I did this above my tank. You can see all of the mess that I have inside of it, but it's not on my floor, so it's a lot easier since I have to clean it anyway. It contained the mess for me. I'm going to be showing you how I do this step by step, and I'll let you know if there are any failures as we go ahead. Alright, I'm trying to figure out how high I am going to be cutting my PVC pipes for support. So I put my mesh, my egg crate in the tank just to make sure I didn't do anything wrong with my measuring. And I do want to be able to see if I'm collecting water. So it looks like, okay, looks like we'll be at about an inch PVC. So we're going to do that next. I have like a 15-foot PVC half-inch downstairs, and we'll be cutting a lot of 1-inch pieces. Okay, so let me explain how I decided on how many little pieces to make. After I decided that we're going to do 1-inch PVC pipe pieces, I took the measurement of my tank, 48 inches long, and divided that by 4 since I want them to be 4 inches apart for stability, and got 12, and we are 12 inches deep, so that gives me 3. Multiply that, we get 36. So all of these little marks are exactly 1 inch apart, and we have a handsaw. This is made for cutting molding. I don't know if we're going to use this or the Dremel that we have. We're going to have 36 pieces when we're done. And our kitty wondering what we're doing because there are pipes laying in the kitchen and in the living room. Okay, so if you're going to cut it this way, this tool is really handy. It pinches the pipe in place, but as you start getting to the end, you definitely want a second person because it starts going buck wild on you and it starts moving. Okay, we have our 36 pieces. This is really just a pain in the butt. As you can see, it makes quite a bit of mess, but this contraption is handy. It was something that we owned from putting in our own molding, doing a renovation in our bathroom. But if you don't have it, I recommend buying the pre-cut PVC pipes. We just happen to have some left over from a previous project. Okay, my next step is to clean out my tank. You can see I've got some vinegar in a pitcher. I'm using some paper towels just because I don't want any residue from my laundry to get in here. And I'm wiping down the tank. I've done all of the inside and I'm coming to the outside. Now this is a tank that I received online. It's used. It had another animal in it. And there's stuff like this stuck on the outside. And this is old and brittle. I would have left it on since it's a temperature gauge, but it's not working. I can't get it to heat up and turn colors. And when I try to pull on it, it snaps off into little pieces. So I'm going to use a razor blade to get things like this off, and hopefully I'll have a clean tank at the end. So all of you people who are concerned about putting sticky things on your tank, this is proof that we can get it off. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. So here we are. This is my little gadget that I use to clean my glass top stove. It's a blade, and if you put in a little bit of elbow grease, push down pretty hard, you can see it's coming up really nicely off of the surface of the glass here. This is all clean now. This is still a little sticky, but that'll come off in a couple of minutes. And voila! There we go. You can see there's no indication. Oh, a little spot right there that I'll need to get off. But otherwise, no indication. It's really smooth, not sticky, no scratches left, and it was all a little bit of vinegar and a razor blade. Alright, we have these little pieces all cleaned up, And I'm putting them evenly spaced in the bottom of the tank. There's a lot of them. And next we're going to start wrapping our egg crate with our weed barrier, which in my case I have a sun barrier, so I'm going to see if that works well doubled up. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is figure out how long the PVC pipe needs to be up the corner of my tank. So I'm going to measure the size hole that I need, cut it out of the egg carton, and then start my silicone bead up the side of the tank. And I got a cap to put on my 1/2-inch tank, and I have tubing as well. I made sure that this tubing was the right fit. It's a 1/2-inch, no, it's not a 1/2 inch, it's the outer diameter is 3/8 of an inch, the inner diameter is 1/4 inch, and the cap I'm thinking may not work for me. I might want a plug instead of a cap, so we'll see about that, because this may take up too much room in the back side of the tank and not fit flush up, so this might get returned. Okay, in order to figure out how tall we need, we want our PVC pipe to go all the way to the bottom of the tank. So I have my tape measure inside the tank, and we are about 20 inches tall. So that means my substrate needs to be at least 10 inches, and then I need another 2 inches out of the substrate. So I'm going to add on an extra inch because of the false bottom, and maybe end up at 13 or 14 inch for the top of my pipe. Garage, I really wanted to use it. You can see I have my egg crate with one layer underneath. I want a little extra protection so that my substrate doesn't fall through, because the sun barrier has a little larger holes than a weed barrier does. And then I have it folded over top, and then I have another piece folded. So I actually have 3 pieces on top and 1 piece on the bottom. I'm going to secure that in place and make sure that I open up this end where I've cut away so that my pipe can go in. And we have the pipe cut and notched. That's a 1-inch notch. And I think I am going to use this cap. I'll just keep it in place before I use the silicone on it so that I have room to get this cap on and off, and it's not pressed up against the glass too much. Okay, so I decided not to have a barrier underneath the egg crate. Instead, I'm zip tying a doubled up layer on top of the egg crate. This is the bottom right now. And I'm getting my second row of zip ties done, so that everything is going to be held nice and tight on the other side, and it'll fill in the gaps on the side of the tank a little bit to make it fit snugly. So when I'm done with this, we'll try it in and see how well it's working. Okay, I have a little bit of modification I have to do. I have 2 layers zip tied onto the egg crate. It's placed in the tank. I think it looks pretty nice. You can see inside, underneath, to see if there's any water collecting, just by a little bit, but it's enough for you to be able to see in there. And we do have a space for the pipe to fit in. And I'm going to put another layer on top and silicone this layer around everything so that we don't have a bunch of access for maybe the crabs to be digging in here or getting substrate down underneath where I don't want it. Okay, the caulking part has begun. The first layer was placed, and then caulk was put on the inside of the tank with a second doubled up layer on top, and you can see I've pressed down the edge, and I have the edge folded in the front so it looks nice and neat. And the rest is just going to be loose up here like this. If you can see, I have the egg crate covered in the sunscreen. I'm laying down a double layer. I'm now going to put caulk on the inside, just along this side, and tucking everything in place should keep it sealed so that the substrate doesn't make its way down into this crack area here. I'll be able to see underneath I think more so on the sides than I can in the front at this point. Although I still have areas I can see through on the front to make sure if I'm collecting water, that I'm alerted to it. Okay, my false bottom is installed. This is what it looks like from the top. That little fold you're looking at here, that is sealed behind it. I'm just going to push this back when I go to put my substrate in so that it lays flat to the back of the aquarium. You can see that we've sealed the back of the PVC pipe here just for support, so if I ever do need to put a siphon in, it doesn't go crazy, but the substrate should be pushing up enough on it that it won't be a problem. I've tested to make sure I can get the cap off if I'm holding on to this, and I can, so nothing gets jostled. And you can see into our false bottom here. We're able to see that I can easily put my tubing in. I can see any water that might be rising on the bottom. And we are totally sealed all the way around, so substrate should not be working its way in. And I do not have craft mesh, the plastic craft mesh yet, so I'm about to run out and get that. But all I'm going to do with the craft mesh is lay it on top and make sure it's overlapping, use my zip ties to connect it, and then start putting the substrate on once everything is cured.